So, Kay, we had a pretty good weekend. We played a little bit last night
Hmm.
through the Discord. I know that you and Lucius were playing through some Warhammer. We do
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
the review up on the site today, but
Indeed, we do.
more importantly, I understand that that you get your hands full today. So
Oh
let's
boy.
have a great show, man. And we got a special one today. Okay, I cooked up something good for us here, Kay.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
Basically, we're just gonna talk console gaming. We're gonna talk console history amongst us.
Okay.
And to start things off, right, Kay? To start things off, want to say happy birthday to the
Oh
Dreamcast.
wow. Wow. I
Okay?
forget, man. So do you know? Do you know? And shout out to one of the great community members. I forget the gentleman's name. He sent it to me in the DMs. I have like I'm a collector of consoles. I think you know that. I have like every single console almost known to man. I
Yep.
have been on the hunt for the black Dreamcast, the sports
Yeah.
packet
A Sega
Dreamcast. I've
Sports.
been on the hunt for that, the
Hmm.
Sega Sports Pack, and one of the gentlemen was kind enough to share one with me inside on eBay. They run it for about $250 right now, and I was
Mm,
just so close to hitting that button.
okay.
I loved this system, bro. I loved this system. It was my favorite for so long. Oh
We're,
my
we're
god.
we're gonna talk about systems, okay? And we're gonna get into that a little bit later on in the show. It's gonna be kind of our main talking point today. But yeah, man, I personally didn't have a Dreamcast at launch. I was in that period where,
You,
yeah,
Mr. Sega Stan,
I
Mr. Blue Blur on my
I
back. Come
I
on now.
didn't have one because unfortunately my mom couldn't afford it.
Understood.
I
Understood. Yep.
was super jealous of everyone. I was about, I want to say, I think I was in 11th grade when the
Okay.
Dreamcast came out, 10th or 11th grade. But I was lucky enough for one of my good friends. He did pick one up, so I would go to his house and play the Dreamcast. And I remember when he first told me, "Oh, you know that you can go online with this thing." I'm like, "What do you mean? What is that?" He's like, "Yeah, I can play against other people." And I'm like, "No way! How do you do that?" And he, because of him, then I started telling, started telling my mom and my stepdad that I needed a computer, and that's eventually how I got my first HP PC with America Online. A big contributor to that was him sharing all that information that you can chat online with people and all that. That got me so interested. And
Mhm.
also, believe it or not, WWE. WWE, which back then was WWF, they had launched their website, And little fun fact, the WWF website, because they used to be WWF back then, was one
Of
of the
course.
most visited websites on America Online through the internet. And they generated a lot of traffic through there, as well as
Hmm.
the early gaming sites. That's where I would kind of, the early days of this stuff before I ever dreamt that I would be on a show with you, talking about games. So
Yeah, yeah.
I did not own the Dreamcast. Were you a day one owner, early adopter of it? Did you have any
So
during its
yeah.
peak?
So as some may know, gaming was not really a pivotal point in my childhood, right? So I would watch. I'd be that kid in the mirror in the window watching as all the people playing outside having a good time and wondering if I could do it too. African parents, religious upbringing,
Mm,
um, a really interesting combination, a stew, if you will, of this will rot your brain, right? So
yeah, of
my
course.
my mother would buy me one because my mother and my dad divorced when I was real young. So my mom would buy me one, my dad would hide it. Then my mom would buy me something else, and then my dad would hide it. And
I
then
remember.
she got me, yeah, and then she got me like a Game Boy, which like that's where my love for Tetris grew. But long story short, eventually I traded my Game Boy for a Game Gear with a buddy
Okay.
of mine at school, right?
Oh,
And you
that's a
have to
good
make
choice you made there. Let me
it's a
tell
good
you.
trade, right? It's a good trade, And we traded it for about a year before I traded it back, and then
Okay.
ultimately when I moved to the states in 2001. The first console I bought was a Dreamcast, right? And it was a used Dreamcast. But I was like, hey, I know these games. I'm playing these games. Like I am Jet Set Radio. That's me. So I bought this game.
Mhm.
Here's the mistake that I made. Okay, and I mean in hindsight, it wasn't a mistake, but here's the mistake I made. So 2001, I move out here. I buy a Dreamcast, a used Dreamcast at the time, and I'm having a good time and all this. And at the time, I'm like, one day I will start working in tech. One day I'll start working in the places that I want to work. But before then, I just got to get in where I fit in. And my dad used to work for FedEx, so he got me a job like handling packages at a FedEx shop, right? And it
Gotcha.
was like during Christmas, and it was horrible, horrible, horrible,
And the morning.
cold. And this is New England, so it's like below freezing, and you're out there by yourself
Yeah.
in the cold, shuffling like packages and whatnot. So the first job I went for, I happened to be walking through it, and shout out to my New Englanders out there, my Rhode Islanders out there. I happened to be walking through the Providence Place Mall, and I walked by a store called Electronics Boutique.
Oh, okay. EB Games.
And then, yes, and at the time it wasn't even called EB, it was just straight up Electronics Boutique. It hadn't
Yes, I
gotten
remember
the
that.
name yet.
You're
Right?
right. You're right.
Yeah. And then I happen to walk by and there's a kiosk standing there, and there are 15 people around that kiosk, right? And those 15 people are all looking at one game. And there are 4 controllers connected to that one kiosk. You know what that game was?
Power
That was
Stone?
a man. That was a dude who's driving a warthog
Oh,
and 3
okay.
other
Okay.
people
Okay, Halo.
in the damn warthog. Halo Combat Evolved, and I
There you
was so shook by that game that I went home. I did 2 things that changed my outlook. I went home, I put together my Dreamcast with all the games I had, and before I went home, when I walked into Electronics Boutique, I asked him how much it cost, so I know how much I needed to put together to get the game, and then I also asked for a job application. Long
Okay.
story short, I traded in my Dreamcast, got my first OG Xbox, and I also ended up working at that store when I walked into the
Wow.
store.
Okay.
Yes, and that
okay.
set me on the path that it set me on.
Well,
But to this day, now that I have all my old school stuff, I still have all my
it's the
I have
one
my
that got away.
GameCube, my Nintendo.
It's
I'm
the
just
one
like,
that got away, right?
I really want my Dreamcast back. It has to be the black one.
Oh man.
So there you go.
I mean, you definitely save up and you should have it as part of your collection.
Seriously, right? And the weird thing is, I'll never turn it on. Like all these old ones, I hack it, I turn it on, I clean it up, I make sure it's beautiful, and then I just put it in the case and just admire it from afar.
Of course. But I'll tell you that since I didn't have a Dreamcast during its glory days. Like I
Mhm.
said, my mom and my stepdad were like, nah, not gonna happen.
Yep.
But as soon as I did start working when I graduated high school, and I think with my very first paycheck, I did get myself a PS2, which is we'll get into that a little bit later. But
Hmm.
the Dreamcast, I went back and I actually bought it from one of my friends because he had one, and obviously he was all about the PS2 by then. And I said, listen, I never had the Dreamcast. Sell it to me. I know that Sega said that they're going to stop, that they're not making consoles anymore, whatever. And I was able to get my Dreamcast fix
Hmm.
throughout that PS2 generation too. So I was a little late on it, due to financial constraints, but I did catch up and I caught up on all the goodness, man. And till this day, besides Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, do you want to know
Yeah.
what my favorite game on the Dreamcast is that I spent the most time in? Believe it or not,
What's that?
Virtua Tennis. I played that game so much
Bro, this is
that,
why you and I connect, man. I love Virtua Tennis. I love it. I
dude,
love it. I love it. I love it. It's the
I would
greatest. It's so
I would
good.
pick, and you know how like they didn't have the real players. I think they had
Hmm.
kind of like these kind of lookalikes, if I can remember correctly. Well, I would pick, if I'm remembering correctly, I would pick the guy that kind of looked like the American dude that he used to be
Hmm.
Agassi or something like that back in the day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Agassi, of course. Yeah,
Andre Agassi, something like that. And I used
yeah.
to.
That's his name, Andre Agassi. Yes,
There you
he's
go.
a
Yeah, I
very
remember him.
famous tennis player. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people in the chat saying that they still have their Dreamcast, saying that
Oh
Virtual
man.
Tennis was the one. You guys know what I'm
Yep.
talking about. I
Yep.
Let me officially welcome everyone, Kate, to episode 48 here. We're almost at 50, guys. We're planning on doing something special for 50. But yeah, man, we're pulling Kay away from the real world. I'm on
Oh,
vacation this
bro.
week, so yeah, I've been chilling all
So
day, man.
before we begin, and I love this conversation, bro. You have rekindled my gaming fires. This is
Oh, we're
great.
gonna get into this. Trust me. I got a lot more. Got a lot more.
I will bring this down for just a moment. And you know what? Let's say it this way, okay? So as most of y'all know, I'm West African. In my culture, when you get to a certain age and you pass on, it is you are crossing the finish line. It's a mark of victory. It's a mark of
Okay.
celebration, right?
Okay.
So when you go to the funeral, you wear black the first day to commemorate the sadness of losing somebody, and then you wear white the next day, and there's a huge party because you got to a level where you have passed on. That is
Okay.
my culture, right?
Okay.
We have found out 2 hours ago that James Earl Jones,
Yes.
if you don't know, King Jaffe Joffer,
Yeah.
Mustafa,
Darth Vader.
Darth
Boy.
Vader has passed on at 93. The man has been around since 1931.
Conan. The villain. in
Exactly, Conan. That's
Wow.
right. That's right. Right. I mean, so many great like pieces of culture that he is a part of, that he will be remembered forever. So this is not sadness. This is a mark of celebration. That man's been around the block. He's seen it. He's been there. He's
He
done
was
that.
93 years old, guys. So
Yes, sir.
he's
So
definitely lived a very long life and very
Yep.
successful. One of my all-time favorite voices in media, an actor.
absolutely.
It's a
You know.
shame we lost another legend, man.
Yep.
But
Yep. Salute
way
to him
life
and his family. I saw that, and the older you get, the more you see your heroes slowly pass away, and it's just sad. And this was inevitable, of course. But again, the man has gotten to the mountaintop. He has crossed the finish line. So it's a mark of celebration. So
Absolutely.
celebrate the man's legacy.
Absolutely. And just like him, he probably inspired so many to get into acting and voice acting and different
Mhm.
things. And I see someone out there that things happen for a reason, and he's here with us today, and I want to shout him out. Umbra, you got that voice, man. This could be
Oh
a
yeah, I
possible
agree.
for you, brother.
I
Okay?
agree, brother.
So-
I agree wholeheartedly.
and he's got the chops, so he could definitely fill some big shoes there. But yeah,
Yeah.
man, episode 48K, we're talking history and legacy here. That's what I call this. We're gonna just get to know us a little bit better here, K, with our history with console gaming. We got we got a couple of things to go through before we get to that. But like I said, K, happy birthday to the Dreamcast. Even though it's not here, it's never forgotten. And here's some fun facts for you guys, right? So As you guys know, whether you owned it or not, we do know that the Dreamcast controller kind of inspired what is now known as the Xbox controller, obviously, because kind of Microsoft and Xbox picked up the baton where Sega kind of stayed, and they even picked up, the button layout and all that good stuff with the Y
Mm-hmm.
layout and the button, the A button, and everything is the same one, and it's the same way. But if you take a look at it, you remember the VMU ports.
Oh, heck yeah.
Had
Heck
two of
yeah.
them. You had one for the Rumble. You had one for the
Mm-hmm.
memory.
Yep.
One of the cool things about this device was the visual memory. That, like for example, in games, they would have like a little mini game also that you can play on the memory card. Which,
Didn't they have like Tamagotchis in there at some point where you
they
could keep
did.
them alive and all this? Yeah, I
Yeah, they
remember.
had a bunch of stuff, and I mean, it was gimmicky as heck, but it worked, man. Back then,
Oh yeah.
this is the stuff that we don't really see anymore. These kind of gimmicky things, except for cardboard Nintendo. Um,
Hey, I
but
like
we
that
also,
slander. Well done, sir.
but check this out. Me owning a Dreamcast, right? I
Mhm.
never knew this fun fact, and maybe you didn't know this, or I don't know if anybody knew this. Did you know that you can actually reset the Dreamcast because it did not have an official reset button, but you could do that by holding down the four buttons in the start button? Did you know that you can reset the console?
I did not know that. No, I did not. I did not. That's
And
interesting.
that's something I learned all this time. Like,
Yeah,
think
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Think about how much we love the Dreamcast, and that's something I had no idea you can do. And then, here there's
Mm-hmm.
a little joke about how people used to kind of troll their little brothers, and in the middle of a game, if they were about to lose, they would just, do that and be
Reset
like,
the
"Oh,
whole
what
thing.
happened?" Exactly, as they were gonna lose to their little brother in NBA 2K. So, and you remember, oh man, one of the things, Kay, I'm gonna take you back now. I know you remember this. You remember that 99.99 commercial in the club?
Of course.
All those
Yes.
characters and Sonic and I
Yep.
think Gary Payton, the basketball,
Yep.
the little
See, I think
basketball.
that's where I think that's where some of Sonic's Sony's original engine came from. Remember, like
Yeah,
Sony's known for doing their ads with all these great characters you know and love, and they're all kind of chilling together. That was a Sega move back in the day. That's what they used to always do.
absolutely, man. And Sega had such like they think about. If you guys haven't watched it, I know you have, Kay. I think it's the movie called Console Wars. I'm not talking about the
It
game.
is. It
Yeah, I'm not
is.
talking
No,
about the
no,
game that
yes.
that the Xbox dudes just
No,
came out
no,
with.
no,
I'm talking
absolutely.
about
You're
the
talking about the
documentary.
documentary. Yes,
Excellent.
yes. I actually own it. I own
Yeah,
that documentary. It is so
I do
good.
too. It's an excellent watch. It will help you
Mhm.
understand not only
And the
how
book
this.
is also very good. The
Oh,
book
I
is
never
like
read the
really
book.
good.
Wow.
You got
Okay.
you. It gives you so much more details. There's so much to it. It's great.
Oh wow, I'm gonna pick that up. I didn't know that. So in this console war, when this started by Sega, it really shows, at least it really shows you, and it showed me why we were brought up with this console war mentality, because Sega kind of, this was the marketing strategy for them to be able to
Mm-hmm.
take the market share away from Nintendo because they were so dominant. And
Yeah.
they really needed to separate themselves and think of a creative way to say, hey, no, we're here, we're gonna plant our flag in Nintendo, you're gonna have some competition, which ultimately, I know everybody in here knows about this history stuff, but look where we are today. So, definitely a great documentary. But yeah, Kay, how about this right here? I saw this today, and I wanted to let you know,
Mm-hmm.
in memory of the Dreamcast, Retro Fighters is releasing a new fight
I
pad
saw this. Yep.
for the Dreamcast, for the Switch and for the PC. I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
picking this up because this, you know me with
It's
controllers, man. I'm
beautiful.
a sucker,
It's beautiful. Yeah,
and
absolutely. It is. It is fantastic looking,
it,
and it looks so good. You don't even want to touch it. You want to hang it on
yeah,
your wall. Like, what's going on?
yeah. And I just finished picking up this weekend the Xbox Hyperkin controller,
Okay.
the S controller
Oh,
that they
okay.
brought out.
Okay. Yep.
I picked that up and I have it in hand right now. Let me tell you, man, they did a pretty faithful job. It feels just like it, just like they did with the Duke. They did a good job with this. I haven't played anything with it yet, but I'm gonna be doing so. Um,
Mm.
let's see what else here, Kay. What else I have? Of course. All right. So
Oh
tomorrow,
yeah, yes, 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 yes.
okay, it's a big
Uh-huh.
day for gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Cerny's gonna be presenting a 9-minute stream to, I guess, everybody's predicting, and I mean it's the worst kept secret in gaming right now, but that the PS5 Pro is going to be officially announced tomorrow. I'm sure Cerny's gonna talk about the PSSR. Hopefully they show off some
No, no, no.
games.
Come on, man. Come on,
Pisser,
man. Are you
pisser,
serious?
the
No, no,
pisser.
no. You got to say it with the Stankonia on it, man. It's the
Uh,
pisser. Come
it's the
on.
pista. I got you. So for me, Kay, I'm a little I am excited for it. You know
Okay.
that I'm a sucker for hardware. New
Yep, yep.
hardware gets me excited. Console gamer at heart.
Hmm.
I do have a red line with this. If it's anything over 649.99, it's gonna be a no for
Okay.
me. Anything under, you have my attention.
Okay.
How about you? I know that you haven't really spoken up about whether you're interested or not. What would you need to see from them to maybe get you to pay attention here?
Honestly, I need to see some actual something interesting. Say what you will about Nintendo. Whenever they come out with something, they show you something interesting.
Hmm.
Like, they show you something interesting. Like they showed you something interesting with the controller that was really sensitive, was really capable, right? Even if what they show you, that interesting technology they show you, is not like faster speeds or more performance, they give you a reason to differentiate them from others in the market. They do that, right? And it's not necessarily even the games. Yes, I know they got that, but the hardware at a base level, they show you something that's unique, right? So if they want me, they need to show me something unique. I doubt they will do that, because I've contended that this thing is tied to the PS5, right? You can't make a PS5 Pro exclusive game. You have to make a PS5 game that scales to the Pro. So because of that, their hands are kind of tied. So what can they really show me that will be really unique? But hey, you never know, right? They
Yeah,
could come out of left field and swerve on you, and now we're all paying attention. I mean, from a standard speeds and feeds, I want the best gaming experience. I have that. I will have that for many generations on my PC. That's it is what it is in that realm.
let
But you
me
want me to buy something? Show me something interesting.
yeah,
You know.
let me derail the show real fast with something that you just said right now with
Sure.
Swerve. Okay, I gotta tell you this, Kay, because and I gotta let everybody know in the chat, okay? This past Saturday there was a wrestling event called AEW All Out. Okay,
Okay.
there's one of their top stars right now. His name is Swerve Strickland, and you said the word swerve, so you made me kind of remember this right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that he fought a gentleman called Hangman Adam Page. Okay, and they fought inside a cage, and the story is that they kind of had beef for over a year, and it's been very personal. It's been home invasions, burning down of homes. So they've taken it to the personal level. Of course, all storylines, everybody knows that, but it's
Mm-hmm.
gotten to this point where this is their third match, right? Okay, I've been watching wrestling my whole life, and when I tell you that this past Saturday, that was one of the most violent matches I have ever seen. For me to say that, and I've watched the legends, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. I've watched them all in Hell in a Cells and all these gimmick matches, right? Barbed wire matches, Sabu, all that stuff. This thing was cinema, and it was so violent. Just to give you an idea, I-
Mm-hmm.
how would you feel about watching a human being power bombing someone on a center block? Okay,
Ooh.
there was that in the match. There came a point where there came a point where, of course, there was the chairs and all the stuff that they always do, the weapons, the
Mm-hmm.
tables and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But there was also a point in the match where Swerve Strickland has a grill in his mouth, right? So Hangman takes out the grill, takes out this syringe, I don't know from where, okay, and just injects them in the mouth. All right, and the needle goes through his lip or whatever, and just nails the biggest chair shot on top of the head, which that's taboo nowadays.
Oh
You're not
man.
supposed to do that anymore. and it was the most violent match, and you just reminded me of it, and I just wanted to give a shout out to AEW and any of my wrestling fans. If you watched it, it was a
Yeah.
big night for wrestling. Okay, so let's get
See,
back on.
see, but real quick,
Yeah.
to what you were saying, I always wonder, right? Like there was a time, right? A lot of people go, "Oh my God, Santa Claus isn't real," right? My problem was, "Oh my God, WWE is actually entertainment." I
Yeah.
think I was what, 14, 15 or whatever. I don't know. I remember when
Yeah.
I discovered that.
It just was up.
My question always is, after they beat themselves senseless like that, do they go in the back and go, "Yo, good job, bro"?
I think
While they're
so.
kind of
I
crazy.
I think so, because the whole thing, the camaraderie between it, is
Yeah.
that they just want to put on a great show for the fans.
Put on a good show. Yeah,
You know,
I
and
get
they,
that.
and they
I
just
get that.
want to put on a great show, and they get motivated by just, being in the annals of time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And this is gonna be regarded, I'm telling you, as one of the best matches in that company's history, because it was, not only has the rivalry been epic, but it
Yeah.
was crazy. And we
So
got
we're
OPM in
not
here.
gonna
He brings up a good point here. At what
yeah.
age did you discover?
Console
Sir,
wars weren't real.
I'm
Oh,
41 years
I don't
old
think
and I
some
still
people have
have it.
discovered that.
Sir,
Some
what do
people
you
haven't discovered that.
what do you mean, OPM? What do you mean they're not real? Okay, what are you
So
trying to do?
before we get off this wrestling topic, I'll just say, if you are a fan of old school wrestling, and I know I'm not saying anything new to the wrestling connoisseur on this panel myself, but if you are any kind of fan of wrestling and what they do and how they do and all that, watch The Wrestler in 2008.
Oh man,
One
what
of
a
the
great
best
movie.
movies. One of the
Yes.
best movies. Anyway, let's move on.
That was Mickey Rorick's
Mickey
comeback.
Rourke, yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
that was a
yes.
great movie. Yeah,
Great movie, yes.
so okay, I derailed the
Mhm.
show, but let's bring it back now.
Please,
So
please, yes, yes.
what you were saying about the PS5 Pro here,
Mhm.
imminent announcement. Now we're in a group, K, where it's a bunch of us. At the
Uh-huh.
moment, I've been scoping, and I am literally the only person
You're
in
the
this
only
group.
one who's excited for it. Yes,
I,
you're the only one who's
and
legitimately ready to drop coin. Yes.
Yes, and here's the thing, complete fraud, because I don't need this. 100% understood. The justification in here for myself, right? Because you always have to justify your purchases and what you do, is
Mhm.
that, you know what? I at least I'll have the PlayStation first party games in the highest performance that they can be released on that first day. That's it. That's really
Okay.
the
Okay.
justification.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But let's be clear. Let's be clear. As much as I'm saying I don't need it, and I don't, right? Even next gen, the PS6, I won't need it. The next Xbox, the two Xboxes, the two PlayStations coming in the next 10 years, I won't need them. My 4090 will do better than that.
yeah,
Chances are I may find myself with one of these things at some point,
there you go.
because I'm a content
You
creator,
understand?
and you got to be about that life, right? You
No,
got to
I'm not.
I can't.
Look.
Oh,
I'm
no,
not
no.
gonna-
But
I'm not
honestly,
gonna use the content
I
creator
will tell you, the Technolust will get me probably if it's worthy.
technolust. That's
And
what it
yeah,
is.
that's what I call it. That's what I call it. It's
Perfect.
called the Technolust.
That's
And
what it is.
that will either get me, or the combination of, hey, they start saying that these games can do something different, or like I said, you're offering me something unique, right? Then I want to see it so I can talk about it. So we shall see.
You gotta
I
read
want them to
Floodzilla,
take my
man.
money.
You gotta read Floodzilla here, man. What's he
The
saying
big
here?
man Flood, he said, bro got a whole 4080, but don't he? Come on.
Don't peasant out. Yikes.
You
man.
know? You know?
I mean, he's not wrong, but I mean, listen, man. Listen, fraud alert. I'll bring it out
Uh-huh.
every single time. The hardware gets me excited.
But remember, though,
I got the
remember,
red
though.
line. I got that red line. If they surpass
Remember.
by a penny, it's a no for me. Go ahead.
When the Switch came out, right, it did things that, even though you knew damn well that your hardware could do way better, as from an actual hardware perspective, you still wanted to do that. Why? Because, hey, it feels like there's ice in these controllers, and it's so sensitive, and it shakes, and all. Like, they do unique things that make you, the game lover, want to experience it, right?
You know all they gotta
Doesn't
do
necessarily
tomorrow?
have to be speeds and feeds.
You know all they got to do tomorrow to get me excited?
What's
Two
that?
things. Two things.
Well, you're
that
already
they
in the bag. You've already
got-
admitted
I mean, but two things, and I think that a lot of people will also be caught in the fraud alert, just like me.
Okay.
first release at the suggested price here and not do a crazy 700 $800 thing because that's just nuts. And secondly,
Yeah.
just show the Venom trailer, man. That's it. Just show the Venom trailer and say
No, but they
Spider-Man
probably
DLC Venom
will.
coming soon, like
They probably
coming
will.
on release on this thing, and you got our money. It's that easy.
See, but what they won't tell you when they show you that Venom trailer is that first off, it's coming to the PS5. We know that. It may be coming to the PS4. And oh, by the way, it comes on PC and it'll run better on PC. But they won't tell you any of that.
Later on. Yeah, no, but again, let's focus on are you gonna play the game in the beginning on day one or are you gonna wait? So let's focus on that. But we know the truth. And look, the truth is this. Astrobot, I've had it pre-ordered for weeks already.
Okay.
I kind of had a busy weekend. Had a busy Friday, so I wasn't able to sit down and play it until today. Today was the first day that I played Astrobot. So even in saying these things, sometimes I'm there day one, and I don't even have the time to play day one. So it's just whatever, man. It's everybody has their things. So yeah, let's see what Cerny and company do tomorrow. A lot of people are excited, online from what I'm seeing. They're looking forward to it. We know that there's one side that's looking forward to it to see what they offer, which I think is the camp that we're on. There's another side that's looking to see how ridiculous they are. And then there's another side saying that this thing is not needed at all and they're just waiting to laugh at it. So let's see where this announcement kind of falls under. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, man. Yeah. For the record, I am one who's waiting. I'm waiting to see how they take my money because then my money's there for the taking. It is because I'm a techno guy. I'm a content creator. I talk about games all the time. My money is there for the taking. I was the hugest VR guy. To this day, y'all have not found a way of taking my money for the PSVR 2.
And you were ready.
Let's see. I was ready, bro. You saw me. I was ready.
Yeah, I know you were.
Right?
I know you were.
Let's see if they take my money for the PSVR.
They didn't do enough, man.
They didn't, right?
Enough.
So we'll see how the Pro.
And then they bring it on PC, and they still didn't. Do
and
enough.
Even there, they didn't do it enough. Right. So, all you had to do is give me the same features you have on the PS5 to the PC, and you would have had me. You didn't even do enough.
Yeah.
Let's see what next round brings.
Yeah. Calorie brings up a good point. Do y'all remember the PS5 Cerny talk conference? It was like an hour of talking about variable CPU and the fastest RAM with cracking, encoding, etc. I expect this to be the same. You're probably right, Calorie, but here's the thing.
Well,
the dude has 9 minutes.
What is it? I was about to say it's like 9 minutes. It's gonna be like. Here's the thing. Remember what I said last time? Better. Peace.
Yeah. No, I mean the thing about him is that, this is just my opinion, but the lack of competition is showing here. 9 minutes to sell this thing? Good luck. All right, I don't know. All right. So Kate, I spoke to you about this last week, but officially the full package was unveiled as well as the specifications of what you're going to be getting and the release date and also the price. Check this out, okay? This is very intriguing. So the Retroid Pocket 5 handheld is going to sell for $219. Comes in a bunch of colors, cool colors. They even got a cool GameCube one. All right. Yep. This thing is packing Android 13. It's got an Adreno 650. They have an how do you say that? AMOLED?
AMOLED.
It's this thing is looking really good. 5,000 milliamp battery. A lot of people are excited about this, man. Now I've seen kind of like the specs on it, and again, it's not as powerful as the Odin Pro.
No, it doesn't have the same processor, but it doesn't need to be.
It doesn't.
It's also half the price or whatever, right? It's like real cheap in comparison. Yeah.
So, but this thing is fully capable for anyone that wants to get their hands in that Android emulation scene.
Because if you think about it, the Odin 2 was powerful, waiting for a day that hasn't come yet.
There you go.
If you have the Odin 2, and then one day you find yourself in a world where PS3 and PS4 emulation becomes a fact, oh, you got the Odin and you straight. But that does not exist still. You're still only going as far as PS2, right? Even to this very day, right? And yes, there's Switch emulation, but this can do Switch emulation, right?
Right.
Depends on the type of game, but still, it can do Switch emulation. The only reason why you want overkill power is for the day that the new, more complicated emulators show up, and so far they haven't yet. So
Yeah.
$200 for something like this. I think this is the Snapdragon. What is it? 883. I think it was something like
I think
that.
is it the 883? It might.
850.
I think it's the 853 if I'm not mistaken.
850.
I'll go
853.
look while
853.
you're
Yeah.
while you're
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, like it's less powerful than say my Galaxy S21, which was an 888,
Mhm.
right? So it is less powerful, but again in the Android world, it's diminishing returns after you're able to emulate
It's
good
the
Switch and PS
865, by the way.
865. Okay,
Yeah, it's
okay,
860
yeah,
Snapdragon 865.
yeah.
So
We and I call myself among this. We need to stop on this trajectory, this highway of more is better, because more is not necessarily better. More just equals more charging you, even if you don't get the full benefits of its more, right? You can get the Gen 2 Snapdragon processor, which is completely awesome, overkill. It's what you find in like the VR headsets, is what you find in the Oculus Quest and all of this, right? But they need that for tracking and hand tracking and all these other extra things that they process. They don't need it for game performance. They don't need, well, they use it for game performance as well, but you don't need that for emulation. You don't have to have such high overhead, because there's no hardware that no software that can run it at that high level anyway. So
right.
I say all that to say this is well positioned.
You
right?
know what? This
I actually own an old one of these already, so I might look at getting another one for emulation purposes only. Yeah.
You know what? This will be cool to have too. If someone out there still doesn't have a PC handheld, but you have
Mhm.
like a powerful PC, or you know what? Maybe you want to stream your PS5 or your Xbox Series console. This will be a good little streaming device to
Yeah.
do GeForce Now, XCloud, better XCloud, like you showed off in that
Absolutely.
video.
Yep.
Stream
Yep.
Moonlight from your PC, and especially that it's gonna be that OLED screen. Ooh man,
Mhm.
this is gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
Telling you, for
Yeah.
that
Oh,
price,
I am
it's
excited. And these guys have ramped themselves up. They didn't just show up out of nowhere. The 5 is a 5, and actually it's not a 5, because they usually release the Retroid Pocket 1, and then the 1S, and then the 2, and then the 2S, and then the 3, and then the 3S. Like, they've released many a handheld. They have taken a lot of learnings. These are bespoke creators that have been in the market for God knows how long at this
yeah,
point.
they know what they're doing.
You know,
They
yeah,
know
absolutely.
what they're doing, and they're definitely a trusted brand when it comes to the emulation side of the house here. Check
Mhm.
this out, just real fast, just to tell you some cool things with this device, right? And
Yep,
they
yep.
really thought outside the box here, or they really did. So check this out. We already talked about the performance a little bit, but let's talk about some of the features here, right? This OLED screen, all right, zero bezels. You get from top to bottom, it's pure screen.
It's
Okay,
all screen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all screen. So yes, it is 5.5, which is, in some people, especially when you're coming from those 8.4, 8.8 devices like me and you have with the 1X players. Yeah, it's a
Mhm.
downgrade, but you know what? Again, it goes with what you're trying to do here. So for emulation, it's perfectly fine. Check this out. So they also have where you can customize the controls, and I'm gonna tell you why that's important. Let's say that you're playing, let's say that you're emulating Switch, right?
Mhm.
You want your layout, your button layout, to match the Switch layout, and you can change the buttons to do that. Okay.
Yep.
It
Yep.
also has Hall effect, Hall effect sticks for no drifting. Okay, so, or
Yep.
for, you should drift less,
Which
in other words.
which fun fact, guess which console first had Hall effect triggers and sticks for no drifting?
Which one?
Happy birthday Dreamcast. It was the first one to have
That's
that.
right. You're right. You are correct. They are the first one to do that. You are correct. It comes with standard 128 gigs of storage, but that's fine. I mean, you can just put an SD card in here, micro SD,
Yep.
which you have to. The Wi-Fi 6 is going to be perfect for the idea that I'm giving everyone of streaming your content to
Yep.
this thing.
Yep. Very good.
And another cool thing that they said is that it will have official OTA support for incremental software upgrades.
Mhm.
And on top of that, there's also rumors that you're going to be able to put custom OSs on this. This thing is looking like a winner. It really is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those colors are, like I said, they have like a classic, like a GameCube one. They have one to that kind of mirrors the SNES, and you know how these companies do. They're doing good stuff here. All right, Kay. So let's get on with the main event, man. We kind of got those little news tidbits out of the way. Let's talk about some consoles in your history here, Kay, because
Okay.
I wanna take you back to your memories and kind of celebrate, kind of like our upbringing, in gaming and all the consoles we've had. So this is how we're gonna play this out. I'm going to flip the slide. There's gonna be a console that pops up. Talk to me about it, whether you had it, whether you owned it, your history with it, your favorite games on it, and we'll go from there, man. All right.
Nice. Okay. Let's
So
go.
our first one,
Oh,
OG
bro.
Xbox, man. Okay.
Bro, don't talk to me about that, man. Oh my God. I will, and many people have heard me say this. My technical career, my technical brain started with this console. Which, I mean, to be fair, it started with the Dreamcast, because the reason why I loved the Dreamcast is because it was running Windows CE. Like, it was the first embedded version of Windows. It was running that. So I was like, huh? How can a console run like a proper operating system and not this weird bespoke thing, right? At the time, I was fascinated, but you could never really crack into the Dreamcast like that. Well, you could, but it wasn't the same. So when this thing came out, oh man, and we found out that it was running Windows 2000, we went crazy with this thing, man. Like this was the beginning of a lot of things for me. I think people have heard that we used to add code to what is now known as Kodi. It was XBMP back in the day, Xbox Media Player, and then it turns into XBMC, Xbox Media Center, and of course it's all because at the time, and of course the statute of limitations already over, it has lifted at this point. It was running code that was copyrighted by Microsoft. You couldn't run code, like you couldn't be. We were modifying Microsoft's own code, which is a no-no. You shouldn't be doing that, right? So eventually, I think MS cracked down on them, and we all had to step away from it. And then they rewrote the whole program and they called it Kodi, and it's been what it is ever since, and that's where it is. So
Think,
I will tell
think
you.
about think
Mhm,
about everything that community and yourself contributed to this console.
mhm.
That how many ideas were borrowed
Bro,
for the
talk about
successor to the
ideas.
Xbox 360.
Talk about ideas. I will tell you that there's a rumor, and we went crazy. Like, we went crazy. People were young, dumb, and had no sense. I'm gonna keep it PG-13, right? Uh,
Mhm.
people were, and I'm being hypothetical because I'm not sure if the statute of limitation has lifted on this yet. People were modifying these things and putting them on eBay and making hundreds and hundreds of dollars,
Yes, they were.
selling this thing, right? And there's a rumor that at some point somebody, and this was during the time of Bill Gates, there was a rumor that somebody literally bought one of these things, put this on Bill Gates' desk, and said, "Look what they're doing with our baby," and that literally informed the 360. Because remember, before the 360, when this was Xbox One, it was very capable, very capable. But all you could do was rip CDs. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And then of course the 360 shows up, and now you got apps, you got Netflix, you got all these apps. They built the app store infrastructure
They
to
made
the
it.
360.
They made it, and this is something that has happened with the internet age. They
Mm-hmm.
made it so that if you do not connect to the internet, the console or the box that you have is practically worthless. Like, why would
Yeah,
you
it's
want
it's less than. It's less
it?
than.
Less than
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
You know?
This thing, nobody will give it credit. This thing started a lot of things. This console
So
started lots of revolutions.
so tell me about that. Kind of like your memory of it is kind of like that modding scene and hacking scene on it.
Yep.
But talk to
Yep.
me about how far into the lifespan did you get into that scene? Because I think that me personally, I got into the modding scene when
Mm-hmm.
somebody at work kind of told me that you were able to do special things with the OG Xbox, and it was about 2 years into the life cycle into it. But before then, I had purchased a little DVD adapter that you
Mm-hmm.
needed. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that because I was so trained by PlayStation that I even bought a memory card for this thing when you didn't even need it. I didn't even know
Yep.
what a hard drive was, but since I was
Yep.
trained
Yep.
by PlayStation, I'm like, no, I need a memory card. And I remember that the dude, I think, where was it, in Best Buy, I think is where I bought mine. He's like, why do you want that? And I'm like, because I need to save my games. And he's like, okay, whatever. He sold it to me instead of informing me, hey, this thing has something called a hard drive. I didn't even know what that was, Kate. I had no idea what a hard drive was. None of that
Yep.
stuff. Okay, I just wanted
Yep.
to play Halo. Like I saw Halo, I'm like, I just want to play that. You know what I mean? So
I feel you.
how many years did it take you to kind of get into that modding scene? Was it right away? Did you have the Xbox from jump?
I had it. I had it right away because remember at the time, like when I saw it, it hadn't released yet, but they had a bunch of kiosks like at the EB where I was working. Right,
Those kiosks
like
are
it
cool,
was they
man.
were. Yes, they were awesome. They really
Yeah.
like they made you want to jump in there. So I would before it released, I would just sit there after work and just be playing this thing for hours and hours and hours. And then it released day one, and of course I bought one. I used my earnings from GameStop from EB Games to buy one, right? And how deep did I go? It started pretty early on, like because I mean this was Microsoft's first foray actually into consoles, and they didn't know that console gamers of the time were a very interesting bunch. And if you don't secure your hardware hardcore, we will find all the little nooks and crannies that you allowed us to find, and before long we're running unsigned code. So that's what we were doing, you know what I mean? So I modded my first one. Let me see. I thought I saw. Put that up again.
Sure.
All right. So Michael Santiago says my first Xbox was modded. If you hold the power button, it would boot up. So okay. So I used to make that, right. So what you had, it was an executor chip, and I actually have mine still with an executor chip in it.
Remember that?
That's right. Yes. I had mine still has an executor chip in it, where you had to solder it onto the board. There are multiple hacks these days now. Like actually, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at my shelf. Splinter Cell
Yes,
has a mod within it.
That's
Game Splinter Cell
That's how I
has a
did mine.
mod within it, like a game mod that you can then put a cracked version of a game save onto it. So when you load Splinter Cell, it hacks it automatically.
Crazy how people find things.
Oh yeah,
it's just crazy. Who would ever think that a game that was released officially would have a way to kind of back end and exploit the whole thing? Isn't that crazy?
Yep. We went too deep. Like at this point today, like I don't use this anymore, right? It's on my shelf, but mine is a white one because we spray painted it. My Xbox logo that's green is actually white, is black with white Xbox on it. Mine has the executor chip on the left hand side right there, and it runs these hard drives were like, like rudimentary pieces of crap hard drives of the time. I have since, like, I kept it alive, I've cleaned it up. I have a converter in there that has it's still a spinning disc, but it runs SATA discs instead of the standard spinning discs. Yeah.
No,
and I think I have about 4 or 5 terabytes in there now. And it's just because, bro, this thing was the beginning of my gaming mental. Like I cherish it. Like if you hit the power button, if you hold down the eject button, the color changes to different colors representing the state it's in. Some of them, like there's a BIOS version, there's a standard version, there's a retail version, and depending on how you press the button, this version, don't bring it online. This version can hack a bunch of stuff. This version is from Media Center.
I'm gonna tell you,
we did a lot with it.
I'm gonna tell you 3 things about this console. One of them is gonna make you crack up, but maybe you'll remember it. But there's 3 things that I remember like fondly. Let's see if you do. Number 1, tell me that you didn't think that the breakaway cable was genius.
I think the breakaway cable is genius to this very day. Like to this very day, that's amazing.
Dude, it's a no-brainer, right? Your mom would pass by, or your girlfriend, or whatever, or your kids, and they would knock down your console almost, and that's historic.
Screw all you Apple fanboys out there. Your MagSafe cable comes from this. Calm down.
Dude,
that's what happened.
this breakaway cable was for me like mind blowing, especially the first time that my mom was visiting and she passed by and I'm like, Mom, baby, there goes the breakaway cable. I'm like, bro, you know what? This is genius. Whoever thought of
It's
this.
genius. Absolutely, it is. Yep.
Second thing, okay. Second thing, how heavy this thing was. This thing was a brick, dude. It was like you can smash someone's head with this Xbox. Am I wrong? Or if you think the PS5 is heavy, this thing is heavy, man. Okay.
So
I remember
so the reason why I can't be with you on that page is because I have cracked this thing open and I know every piece of it, like intimately. So I kind of understand every piece and puzzle of this thing. So let's see. At the time, hard drives were just heavy spinning things, right? Yeah. And you didn't even get that much storage space. The power supply is built into the console, like it's literally inside the console. Yep. So that also added weight. There were pieces that made it heavy. It was an Xbox for a reason. You know what I mean?
It's definitely a console for the time. It's that mentality of Microsoft that we're gonna try to make a PC for like a console. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, man. And then the third one, okay, and you had a new one. So there was this unique smell that would come from the console when you first would turn it on. And I guess that the chips were getting warmed up and the plastics and all that. I don't know if you remember that, man, but I fondly remember that.
Yeah.
And it was like if the plastic or something in it, the way that they kind of put this thing together, that smell, it was like, man, that smells like electronics. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man.
Let me tell you, I had that smell a lot because remember, I used to buy and sell these things. Well, okay, no. What some people used to buy and sell these things. Yikes! Yes, no, and hypothetically, so I lived in a house with carpet. Okay, now you'll see how left this story is going to go real quick. There was a time, and this is back when your boy didn't have that much grip. I worked for what I barely scraped by, but this was a passion, right? So I was selling, people were selling them, as it were, and then I bought like 3 or 4 of them, right? And have you and this is a pro tip for anybody, even to this very day, do not work on your technology while standing barefoot on shag carpet. Because you're talking about the brand new smell. I literally had opened. I remember my girlfriend was there at the time. She was in my bedroom. We're hanging out, and I'm hacking these things. And I cracked this thing open. I opened the shell off. New car smell, smack you in the face that you're describing. Oh man, this is great. 3 of them on my floor. The first one I touch, you literally see the tracks going pop, 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 pop.
Oh wow!
And then smoke. Yes, because I didn't have the damn strap on, and I was on a damn shag carpet. You know what I'm talking about? Tech strap.
Whoa!
Calm down.
What kind of party were you having there?
You need to calm yourself. Needless to say, $300 at the time, because that's how much they were. $300, $299, kind of up in smoke right in front of me. It was the worst. The worst. Yes, sir.
Should have at least.
He said, "Excuse me, pardon me."
You should have at least been wearing sandals. Okay, not be barefoot.
Calm down.
So you can get the grip. I mean so that you. All right, so okay. One more thing about the Xbox, and we'll move on to the next console. Tell me about the Duke compared to the S controller, because let me tell you something. The S controller, when it came out, I remember that I'm like, you know what? Why are they doing this? Why? The Duke is fine. I've gotten used to it. It's no problem. But then I held the S in one of the kiosks that you're describing, and I'm like, yeah, now I get why they did that.
Sir,
and we know that throughout time, it's kind of innovated itself to what it is.
I will present you an unpopular opinion. As you were speaking, I went and I grabbed my Duke. Yes, I'm holding a Duke right now in my hand. Today is a camless day. Y'all will not slander the damn Duke just because y'all got baby hands and y'all can't handle it. The Duke was the GOAT controller. I love this controller with my whole heart. It's amazing.
The
I
Duke
love
was
this controller.
business, man. Let me tell you,
Now
like
you were talking about hitting people with the console. You could
oh
like
man.
fend off criminals with this thing.
Let me tell you something. The Duke is you don't want it someone you don't want to get someone you don't want to get mad. You don't want someone to get you mad around them with the Duke because you can cause some serious damage. And this thing was
No
like
doubt.
I remember how comical it was, right? Because like I would go between the Xbox and the PS2, and I would get used to for a little while the Duke, and then I would go back to my PS2 DualShock 2, and I was like, bro, this thing feels like a toy. It feels like plastic, like it's a little plastic toy, because the back and forth, and the thing
See,
is
but you know what though? You know what? Honestly, the DualShock 1 and 2, great controllers, right? But I didn't realize how much I disliked them until I first got the Duke because of the offset sticks.
yeah,
That began my love with this controller.
yeah,
And yes, the
was
offset sticks needed to be there because the Duke was a big boy.
yeah.
But ever since then, I cannot, like, I don't care how great the DualSense is, and I think I've talked to you about this before. The Astrobot has made me find my love for the DualSense, right?
Okay.
I love the DualSense playing Astrobot, but even there, you want me to switch, you want me to consider that controller a viable option. Give me a DualSense offset stick version. That's what I want.
I mean, I kind of have that with the Fly Digi that we talked about yesterday, but I'll show you that on another day.
True.
But
Okay.
but I do you know the original story of the Duke? Why the controller ended up being so big?
No, I did not. I know why they made the smaller one, the
Okay.
S, but I didn't know about the big one.
So the reason, and I heard Seamus Blackley say this in a show once, the reason that they made it so big was because when the original boards, circuit boards, were made, they were too big, and they weren't anticipating it to be that massive. So
Okay.
it was comical to them how big that controller was, but then they're like, listen, it'll work. It works for what we are trying to accomplish here. So they went ahead with it, and to be honest with you, it was too late. They didn't have a choice. But it ended up so the redesign, we know, because of the Japanese thing, that's where it came out first, and then eventually they brought it here to the States. And look, the Duke has a lot of history. If you want nostalgic feel,
Don't you dare slander the Duke. I will cut your mic, sir.
I'm a fan. I'm actually a fan of the Duke. You're not gonna hear slander from me. If you want to use the Duke in like all its glory, go back to Halo Combat Evolved and use the Duke there.
Indeed.
That's where you
Absolutely.
are going to get the most nostalgic feel.
Yep.
And that really is the way to play that game. It really is.
You know what? I still, and I'm holding Duke in my hand as we speak, I still think that, and what they did, as you're looking on the screen there with the S, what they did by putting the black and white control buttons on the bottom, to me is still slanderous and still like a travesty among nature. Because I remember the first time I'm in a cave in Halo Combat Evolved, and then I pressed that white clear button, and that white clear button brought the flashlight up. And to me, that was that was magic, and it never changed. And they changed the placement of the buttons, and it never felt the same. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So, okay, we do have a super chat. Soil Tech 199. Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. Please hit the like button, guys. That's true. And sub if you appreciate the content. We're just talking.
Thank you, brother.
Here.
We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. Thanks so much for always being here. He's always supporting. All right, Kay. So let's move on with the next one. Okay, you ready? I don't even remember what order I put these in.
Okay.
Oh, okay. PS2. PS2. So, all right. So here's gonna be the question for the PS2, because I've really never heard your history with PS2. And I haven't really talked about my history here. So let's start with you. Were you a day oneer for the PS2, or did you have your Xbox first? Did you see the light when you got the Xbox compared to the PS2? Talk to me about those days.
So, okay. Remember, this was all one step after another, right? So the Xbox was riding high. it outshined the PS1, right? And then the PS2 came, and there was that transitional period where the PS2 was there and it was competing against the Xbox One, and graphically it wouldn't really compare, right? Very well, right?
Right, the Xbox
Uh,
version of the games were actually more. It was they looked better. They just
mm-hmm,
performed better on the OG
mm-hmm,
Xbox compared to the PS2.
mm-hmm. That's right. And then of course eventually they transitioned to 360. I joined the PS2 contingency much later. You know why?
Really? Okay.
Much later. I actually joined with the Slim. Why? Because the OG PS2, at the time I was working at EB, right? Like it was Red Ring of Death level scandal that
Oh, you're
no
talking
one ever
about
heard
the
about.
yellow light, right?
It
You said
wasn't the yellow light. No.
the yellow light was
So
the
what would
PS2
happen?
story.
What would happen is, at the time, they were trying to transition to Blu-ray discs, and they couldn't because it was too expensive. They could not make Blu-ray discs just the standard. So, and obviously they did that in the PS3 and moving forward. So they'd have, if you recall, the PS2 had the regular colored disc and the blue disc.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And each disc required a different lens. So there were two lenses in the PS2. And depending on which CD you put in the tray, it would detect, okay, well, I need the blue lens. And then there's a motor in it that would bring up the blue lens. And the other one needs a regular lens, and it would bring up the regular lens. And over time, that motor would break, and whatever disc you last used becomes the only type of games you can play. So there were PS2s that only played the blue discs. There were PS2s that never played the blue disc.
I never knew that.
And our back rooms were full of this stuff. 300-400 consoles at a time.
Wow.
People talk about the Red Ring of Death and, oh my God, it was a thing. Like, PlayStation has been historic about their marketing and how they are able to keep the slander down. Because this was Red Ring level slander. Like,
Wow.
People were loving PS2s. It was amazing. Our back rooms were filled with people returning them, replacing them, returning them, replacing them, because that motor would keep dropping. Because maybe people weren't treating it right. You know, you take them back in and they'd be smelling of like special kind of wacky tobaccos. You know, they'd be smelling of people not putting them in the right places, and that motor would constantly be dead.
As an ashtray, I got you. Let me ask you this question, because typically this is how it happens, right? What game or games did you see that got you to want that Slim? What was the game that you saw that you're like, man, I'm finally gonna get this thing?
Actually, it was GTA 3. I think it was GTA 3
or Vice, because I know GTA 3 came out first, then Vice City.
No, it was Vice City. It was Vice City. It was Vice City. Because I had that was my first visit to Miami. This is way back in the day. My first visit to Miami, Ocean Ave and the whole nine. Yeah. You know what it is. You know what it is. Ocean Ave and all of that, right? And then I come home and this and I go to work and this game is out here. And it literally, of course, you use your imagination these days. It literally seemed to emote and recreate what I had just seen in Miami. And I had to have it. Right? It was awesome. I loved that game.
For Vice City that they had the and I run. What was it? Was that the
Of course.
For Vice City, or was that GTA 3? I forgot.
No, that was Vice City.
That was Vice City, right? And then when you see
it was
neon lights in South Beach, and then the 80s vibe and the Tony Montana
exactly.
And the Scarface stuff, man. Yeah, man. I had the fat PS2. I got it literally with my first paycheck of my first job. I got super lucky to get this thing, because when it released, it was consistently sold out due to shortages and due to high demand. And I remember walking into a Best Buy one day and there was a line. And I'm like, hey, I'm assuming that this is a line for the PlayStation 2. And the dude's like, yeah. Check this out, okay? Look how lucky I got. I forgot if I was number 5, 6 in line. I don't remember that. I don't remember those details. But I do remember that the dude in front of me gave up his spot to me and I was literally
Wow.
the last one that was able to get it on that day, and everybody else
Damn,
kind
bro.
of waiting this. And he goes, "Listen, I changed my mind, dude. Here you go. Take my spot here. I don't want it anymore." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Dude, thank you so much. I was able to take it. Came in the blue box, man. I was so excited to open it.
Hmm.
First paycheck, dude. First paycheck of my first job ever. I got the PS2, and I remember
So
that. Go
that
ahead.
is awesome, bro. No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
No, and I remember that one of the games that got me really excited to play, and I would play religiously with my cousin's husband, was obviously the new Madden. He already had a PS2, so he would play. We would play Madden on it, right? And we stayed up one whole night playing through a season until this day. And we were actually talking about this yesterday in the party that I went to that I told you about, and we were
Hmm.
laughing about it because I was telling him, "Hey, I'm gonna do a show tomorrow, and I'm thinking about talking about." Console history or whatever, and I was telling, hey, you
Hmm.
remember that night that we stayed up the whole night playing through our season that we did, and what we did was we would challenge ourselves, right? So we picked the worst ranked team in the game that year, which was the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, and then we made ourselves. I
I
was the
mean,
line.
let's be honest. The Cincinnati Bengals could be any season at this point. The worst team. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I'm sorry.
oh, man, listen, they can't be as worse as the Cleveland Browns or
Yeah,
but
or the Cleveland Browns. Indeed,
or
indeed.
slow mo's listening. The former Redskins. What's their name now? I don't know what their name now is. Washington. What's their new name? I don't know what their new name is. They changed their name. They used to be the
Yeah.
Washington Redskins. And then and I see OBM in there. Let me throw some shade there to the Detroit Lions. They've always been
Uh-huh.
bad, except for Barry Sanders. Okay, so so what's his so OBM will appreciate that. So we stayed up the whole night, Kate. And we just started cracking up yesterday because till this day he still holds it against me that
Mhm.
we went through the whole season playing, right? We played every single game all night, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. We're in the Super Bowl. He tells me he throws an interception, and it's like the last minute of the game. The team is running back the ball, and he tells me, "Do not turn into the CPU. Let the CPU tackle him." And I go, "Nope, I'm gonna turn into him." And I missed the tackle. The dude runs it
Oh
back for
man.
a touchdown, and we can't score. And to this day, he
Uh,
still holds that against me. He goes, "Bro, do you
you're damn
remember?
right.
Why didn't you listen to me, bro?" And I go, "I just wanted to make the play, man. I don't know what to tell you."
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
How old were you guys?
oh man, I must have been like 19 years old, probably.
There you go. There you go. Yep.
19. He must have been 20 something. So and then of course the SmackDown games that came out, the wrestling games.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Um, that first God of War game was huge when that came out. That was mind blowing. I remember I played
Yep.
that. Of
Yep.
course, the
Yep.
Grand Theft Autos and all that. But I did eventually upgrade because again, I've always been since I've been able to afford these things and not being able to have them when I was younger due to the situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when the Slim came out, I traded it in, and I'm like, I want the Slim now because it's a new shiny, and till this day, I'm still the same way. Look at the PS5 Pro thing. So,
Yeah, I feel you. I
um,
feel you. Did you
so
ever play question? Did you ever play Burnout 3 Takedown?
yes, yes, excellent game. But I played that on the
I
Xbox.
loved that game. Oh, you
Yes,
played it on the Xbox.
yes.
Okay, fine. Let me give you one more multiplayer and one exclusive. Well, actually, two exclusives. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that. I can close my eyes and remember all the button presses. I used to play
Yep.
that thing till my hands bled.
Which one
And
was
then
the
two
one?
games.
The one
Uh-huh.
that I played the most, Kate, was the one that you were able to unlock Wolverine. Was it that one? Was it Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3?
I think it was 3. Yeah, 3 had the most unlocks.
It's the one that you can unlock Wolverine that I played the most.
Yeah,
But yes, I know
yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yep. So there's that, and then Eco
You
or
talking about the
Ico.
Dolphin?
No, not the Dolphin.
No,
Ico.
no,
Where
I never
the
played
game where
Ico.
you have to. You never played that? Oh wow, PS2 game, freaking awesome. It was just a beautiful. It was one of the first games that I played that I was just like, okay, you can actually this can be a storytelling device where it's this emotional experience where you basically having to transfer your companion across this game, keep him
Yeah,
safe.
no, I've seen it before. I just never
Yeah.
played it. But I know what you're
It's
talking
awesome. And then a weird one, Katamari Damacy. I don't know if you
Yes,
played Katamari.
I
Loved
tried
that
that.
game.
I tried that,
Love
and
that game.
it was fun. It was I remember I rented it, and it was
Yep.
all right. It was fun for what it was. Um, Now I will tell you this: during the PS2
Hmm.
generation, something happened to me, and that's that when I got on board with the OG Xbox, and I started seeing that the performance was better, and I just like the ecosystem and all that stuff better.
Hmm. Hmm.
I The PlayStation became, and till this day, this still is the same, even mentally to me. The PlayStation has become the first party PlayStation platform for me. Like if I turn on my PS5 right now and you're here, you would see that my library has nothing but first party titles in it. That's it. There's
Yeah,
nothing
me
else
me too.
on there.
Me
Okay.
too.
And,
Yeah.
and,
I buy them for their first party. You'll never see a third party on there unless they gave it to me for free.
and the only third party stuff you will see on my list, if you're one of my friends or if you come here and you see, is like
Hmm.
PSVR 2 titles, because PSVR
Mm.
2, they're on PC also, right? But
Yes.
that's
Yes.
it. There's literally nothing else. And that's the way I've always seen PlayStation brand for myself, and Nintendo brand as well. Those are my first party machines, and Xbox until this generation was my third party machine. And we all know what's happening now that I'm on Steam, with PC and stuff. So even Xbox
Hmm.
has become also that de facto first party machine for me as well there too, unless there's something on Game Pass that catches my attention. But
All
it's
right, I
funny
get
that,
that.
you
Yeah.
know, but let's see what's next, Kay. The
Oh,
PS3.
the George Foreman grill. Oh yeah, baby. I love that thing. I still have mine. I have
I
mine right now, still in my office.
I still haven't, but you got the Foreman? You still got the
Yeah,
Foreman?
yeah. This one, this exact one. I have the one that has actual hardware level back compat. I've hacked the hell out of this thing. It can do so much now.
Okay, so I got the PS3 when. Do you remember? Let's see if you remember this commercial, because this commercial was awesome that they came out with. Do you remember a commercial that they released when when they were getting their butts kicked, and then they ramped up on the marketing, and they went away from the weird baby marketing, crying, that
Hmm.
weirdness that they had going on, and then they
Hmm.
went with like a more aggressive towards gamers marketing, and they brought out a commercial that I still remember. It's that Saliva song. Remember that band Saliva?
Yeah,
Boom, do you want it? You remember that song, right?
I do
And,
remember, but I
and
want you to sing it. Keep going. Go ahead. Keep
no,
going.
no, no, no. Number one, I don't want to, make anybody's ears bleed here. And number two, I don't want
Uh-huh.
to get a strike on here. But it was "Welcome to the Show," that song, right? And if you
Hmm.
go back and you watch that commercial now, let me tell you, that commercial is still pretty epic. And that commercial and Uncharted got me to want this thing when I saw the combination of both, because I had seen Uncharted before in the demo area, but it was never playable. There was only a video, so I could never get hands on like with it, until one day I saw this commercial and I started getting hyped, and the FOMO hit me. I'm like, you know what? It's time for a PS3. How about you, man? When did you pick it up? I know you didn't pick it
So
up in the early days.
no, I didn't pick it up in the early days. Funny enough, this was a gift, and day one, I got this thing. But
Really?
this was this was a gift from an ex girlfriend, a
Oof.
now ex girlfriend,
Oh, she must have liked it
and
a lot. That was
oh,
$5.99.
and it was $600, bro. Damn,
I mean,
yes,
Ken Kutaragi
and
said we needed like 3 jobs for this thing, and he was
and
right.
to this day, 2024, my George Foreman turns on like there's no problem, no tomorrow. Everything's perfect. It runs right. I have at this point, I have it running a lot of emulators. I have it running a lot of stuff. I have it booting into Linux
Oh, you
front
have it
ends and
locked
all of
up.
this.
Okay.
I got the whole thing. I got it, the whole thing like dealt with at this point. But it stuns me that my OG George Foreman, which I didn't pay for, it was an ex-girlfriend provided it to me. To this very day, if I were to go turn that thing on right now, I dust it from time to time. If I were to turn that thing on right now, it turns on, it runs righteous. You can plug in a USB, you can plug in an SD card USB stick in the back, and it will read off of it and play a bunch of games, and
Oh,
it's
that's
still
cool.
righteous.
You,
It was
did,
quality, bro. It was
Yeah,
quality.
it was nice, man. It was very
Yeah.
elegant in the way that you would turn it on and the little beep, beep, and then all of a sudden
Hmm.
the little ding, and the little chime would come in, and you're like, whoa, am I about to
Mhm.
listen to an opera or
The
something?
only thing that I feel I feel bad about, and people go. This is a very unpopular opinion, but you've already heard me talk about how I love the Duke. I needed that damn boomerang controller, bro. Screw this crap. Screw the
Oh,
DualShock 3. I
dude,
needed that boomerang controller. What
you
happened?
know,
What's wrong with y'all?
you
Y'all should
know
have
that.
released the boomerang controller.
You know, oh, hold on. I'm kind of spoiling here. We're not supposed to
Oh
go
yeah.
that far. Okay, hold on. I pressed the wrong button here. But
Uh-huh.
I want to talk about something
I'm
with.
listening. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about something with the PS3. The PS3 was the first time ever that I had really engaged in the console wars online. The PS3 and the 360, because the PS2 and the OG Xbox and the GameCube, it was between family and friends that we would have those conversations, and in high school. Finally transitioning to online chatter and forums, were the days of teamxbox.com. I was in those forums. I believe it or not, I remember Tim Dog being there. That's how, that's how far back some of us go, even though that I wasn't a prominent member of this community, and I'm not on, and I haven't, ever done a show and stuff like that. I've always been around, and I've always seen the conversations. um, so
I have
this,
returned. Yes, I'm getting some water.
yeah.
Continue. Yes.
So
So
the
you know Tim from way
PS3,
back when, huh?
I don't know him, but I remember seeing him around a lot in those Team Xbox days. It was a
Okay.
forum, which, in there it was, man. Let me tell you something. It was not for the faint of heart. All right,
Uh-huh.
dudes going back and forth, calling each other everything, but son of God. Okay, and it was extreme in there, and people. But here's the thing: people knew their stuff, and then that's when I started learning more about the inside of the industry. And then I had listened to Major Nelson's podcast that somebody recommended there, and that's the first time that I had ever seen. Hey, wait a minute, like, wow, okay, so this is the company that makes this game. Oh, okay, so this is the developer that it says on the box. So I like these people, so that when they make another game, I'm going to pay attention. That is where this kind of started clicking for me, and instead of it just being a la carte like it used to be. Like it used to
Yeah.
be like, okay, yeah, this game looks good, this game looks bad, I don't care who made this. And of course I knew your staples, Capcom, etc. Of course, your staples, but like the little teams and the nuances is something that I never paid attention to. But with the PS3, okay, the E3 that they showed this thing off was the biggest disaster. It was the biggest disaster. And I remember it was comical because everyone on those forums, everybody was commenting in real time saying, are you seeing this? This is hilarious. They're saying that this is based on real Japanese history, and there's giant crabs in the middle of the thing. And it was just hilarious, through the things that they were saying. And then when they announced that price, everybody started celebrating in that forum like, oh my god, it's over, $5.99, they're done. It reminded me of kind of like the chatter that we have now, in private, in our DMs and stuff like that.
It
So
is very true.
it
Very
so it,
true.
it
How the
was
tides turn, huh?
dude, it's just hilarious to me. And then the one thing about the PS3 that I remember is, I do like everything about the 360 was so refined and ready to go, centered around gaming. And you can tell that the PS3 was centered more around entertainment, Blu-rays. Their online wasn't as robust. If you remember the early PSN days, it was a mess compared to the 360. And it's just incredible how we fast forward to where we are today, how much advancement PlayStation has made in the space to kind of own the gaming kind of space there, and Xbox to, be a little bit behind them, not only in sales, but kind of like in some of the innovation that they used to do in the 360 days, compared to how, not so far back, but how PlayStation has been able to surpass them in little things like trophies. When I think about the 360 and PS3 days, I can't help but think of the achievements, how much of a revolutionary that was. And then PlayStation further down the line is like, oh yeah, we got trophies too. But I was like, yeah, but achievements were here first. You know what I'm saying? But
Of course.
it's
So
just So
Can I
much to
tell you
remember.
one? Can I tell you one aspect of the PS3 that was terrible, and it's still terrible to this day?
Yeah, yeah.
To this very day, if you were to go to Xbox, right, and you say you want to update a game has come out, you maybe the game came out a long time ago, and now you're joining in, right? You want to play this game that's been out for some time. On Xbox, you download the update, you're playing the game.
Yeah.
On PS3, it's one update of 55.
Oh yeah, I remember that, dude. It was so
And it would go through
slow.
every update because it was sequential.
Yeah.
Right? One dependent upon the other, They wouldn't slip in the latest update, so you just get the latest and greatest from the top. No. If that game has been out long enough and every update has come out, if it's 100 updates that have come out since that game released, it's one of 100.
Yeah, you're gonna be waiting a while.
You're gonna be, man, do you know how many times I almost threw the PS3?
No,
I was so mad.
You're 100% right. There's two things I'm going to talk to you specifically about the PS3. The first one is, don't you find it incredible how PlayStation learned from that, and then the PS4, you were able to boot into the game quickly, and then Xbox, when they launched the Xbox One, they didn't have that fast start thing yet implemented, and you're literally sitting there like, why is this taking so long? And already the people on PlayStation 4 were already playing the game. And you're like, what is going on here? And it's because it was installing the game, and like console gamers weren't used to that. So it's just incredible, like how history and companies flip on a dime. And then,
if you look at historically, they have each face palmed right after the generation they do best.
I don't understand. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then
it's hubris. They get big, and then they have to be brought back down to earth. 360 brings to Xbox One. PS3. PS2 turns to PS3, right? And then presumably after they're brought down low, they learn from their lessons, and the next one's more successful.
Yeah. And then the funny thing is that you would think that these core essential things would be thought of, but I guess they're not. And then the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you brought it up, was the boomerang design that they did not stick with. And I was criticizing them because like they played it very safe, okay, with the DualShock 3, and it wasn't even called the DualShock 3, it was called the 6-axis, because they didn't want to pay for the rumble in the beginning. Remember that?
Bro, I have PlayStation controllers in my house today that don't have thumbsticks.
Wow.
That don't have rumble.
They feel like crap. They feel like
toys, like plastic empty shells.
Yes, and I remember that when I first held the 6-axis, I'm like, this does not feel good at all. And then they eventually brought out the DualShock 3. And I was like, all right, this is back to form. But I was criticized. If we had our DM around, I would have been crying and bitching every day in there. Why did they remove the boomerang? They don't have the guts to release it. They should have released the boomerang. That was Ken Kutaragi's vision.
Bro, absolutely they should have. I'm still criticizing them for that. They should have totally done that.
They should have done it. And the thing is, if you think about it, right, even the way that it was designed, you could tell that it was made for the motion that they kind of wanted to do in Layer, for example, in that Layer game, and in Warhawk. You know, and what they I don't know why they went with the safe approach, but whatever, it ended up working for them. All right, Kay, is there anything? Do you want to know something? Do you know that my favorite game of all time was released on the PlayStation 3?
Oh yeah, what's that?
God of War 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know you're a big God of War guy. Yeah.
It is my favorite game of all time, number one. There's no other game that I have ever played that has made me literally pause the game and get up and just walk back and forth because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And believe me, there's a lot of good stuff now. I'm not trying to say that, nothing impresses me. No, I was impressed yesterday playing Warhammer with you. That looked really good. But there was something about God of War 3 with that Poseidon fight in the beginning, dude. Okay, we had never seen anything like that before.
Oh, of course. These days it's all everybody's all like used to all these things. But when they were coming out at that
Dude.
time, it was a revelation. No one had ever seen anything like it. It was bombastic to a ridiculous degree. People were just losing their mind.
And that freaking Poseidon horse just comes out, dude, and you're like, what the hell is going on right now? And you're like climbing on top of Gia, and you're like going through it. You're like, oh my God, what is this? Is like, it was epic overload. Okay.
Yep.
And and that's a fun fact for anyone that wants to know what my favorite game is of all time is God of War 3. Kay, anything else that you want to say about the PS3 before we go to the last one?
I mean, I earned $25-$30 from the PS3 when they eventually decided to take away the Linux feature, and then they were like, clash and action lawsuit, and then everybody signed up and they all got $20 back.
Did you, since you were heavily into tech, did you buy into that whole cell thing that they were doing, that they were gonna cure? I don't know. They were saying that.
Okay, so the processor itself, right? The cell processor is far more powerful than the PS4 processor.
Really?
That's what it is. Yes. They downgraded from PS3 to PS4. It's good you bring this up. The cell processor was a powerhouse of epic proportions. The problem was it was very difficult to develop for.
Yeah.
Right? And also they paired it with not so great a GPU.
You got to read this real fast. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Oh, Floodzilla, that's an interesting story. You're going to have to tell us one day on this.
Wow,
story.
Bro, we going to have a chat.
Oh,
he says,
man.
my pregnant wife destroyed my PS with a hammer.
Oh,
Damn, It wasn't even by accident. It was like, come here with that thing.
Wow.
We got to talk about that one day, sir. Wow. Okay. You know, and notice what he said, his pregnant wife, not his pregnant ex-wife. So they worked it out.
I mean,
amazing.
Maybe he had no choice but to work it out.
I mean, she had the hammer after all.
Oh man! Be sure to have a conversation. No, it's just okay, honey. Whatever you need to do.
But yes, needless to say, the cell chip was a very performant chip. It was a very powerful chip. And actually, the plan was they were planning on, and they originally built that chip to actually go into their HDTVs, their really high-end HDTVs, right? This was going to be the one chip that was going to be able to revolutionize how all these different things worked, and blah 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 blah.
Something about doctors too, the way they interacted with it, right? That they were going to be in MRI machines and like.
They were planning on putting it everywhere. They literally were planning on putting them in guidance systems for missiles.
Wow.
And that's why, if you recall, I don't know if you recall that small bit of slander. At some point, the U.S. government was looking at stopping sales of this thing because, is it going to be in? They're going to put it in guidance systems. Maybe people with. Yes. That was slander for like. That was a big thing for like 2 seconds, and then they realized it's not that big a deal, man. It's not that deep, you know. There were data centers. People talk about how Xbox is all innovating because they put like consoles in the data centers. There were data centers like full of PS3s.
That's crazy,
right? Just like how Game Pass is now running on Xboxes in the cloud. Yeah, the cloud, before it was a cloud, they had PS3s in the cloud because that chip was just that performant.
And I remember that there was something that you can leave your PS3 on standby or something.
Yes, folding home. That's what it's called, folding home. And you can still do that with any computer. You just have to sign up for it. And basically what you were doing is, I remember doing that too.
Ridge Racer. Yeah. I remember that, but that was that was that abysmal E3 where the Kez Harai. You remember Kez Harai?
Kez Harai, of course.
Yeah, that's when he goes, "It's Ridge Racer." And everybody's like, what is that guy talking about?
I was like, get this man off the stage.
Oh man, that was a bad moment.
So folding home was basically the idea that you could take your the spare cycles is what they were, right? You're not using it. It's sitting idle somewhere. You can have folding home turn on, and then because there are problems that at the time could not be solved by common man, and the processing power was just too expensive to have like supercomputers and all that do it. So why not bring every console together and then use that to solve complex problems.
Okay.
And that's what they used to do with that. That exists to this very day. There are like really interesting projects, projects to cure cancer, all these other projects that require just computational power. So when your computer's idle, or in this case, when your PS3 is idle, it just lets you lend that power to the project, and then it uses some of your processing power for that purpose.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that. I didn't know that kind of cell backstory. I just knew about the cell, but I didn't know that it was used for so many things. There's one more thing, Kay, about the PS3 generation that really stands out to me, and that was the format war that was going on early on between the Xbox 360 HD DVD and the add-on that they had, and then the PS3 with the Blu-ray, right? I remember, that the same. Think about it like this, guys. If you weren't around social media, or you just weren't in the know back then, you know how now you go on Twitter and you see people hating and talking, debating whether Astrobot's as good at Mario, etc., whatever. That's the hot debate now, today. Well, the hot debate for a long time was whether HD DVD was better or Blu-ray, and you would, if we had shows back then, you would hear people capping for both, okay, because that's basically what we used to do. All right. And I was on the cappers on the side of the HD DVD. I hated
you too.
Yes. I was team HD DVD all the way.
I have HD DVDs and the HD DVD add-on in my garage right now.
Well, there was two reasons why I was an HD DVD fan. Number one, it's because it was cheaper, and number two, it's because the studios that I preferably liked movies from more were signed onto the HD DVD side.
Yes.
But then I still remember the day that the announcement was made. I think that Disney had signed.
We lost the fight.
It was over. Like as soon as Disney folded and bent the knee, okay. AKA Xbox style this generation, it was all downhill from there. It was like, okay, that we lost another studio, another one bites the dust, and then HD DVD had to fold because that's it. They didn't have the backing anymore of any of the studios, and that is something that happened in this generation. And I remember it yesterday.
Now, last thing before we go, we move on. Do you remember PS Home?
Yes.
I loved PlayStation Home, bro. Oh my God, it was the coolest thing. Obviously, by today's standard, it was garbage. It was just garbage, right?
You remember Phil Harris?
It was goofy.
Used to run that thing. He's the one that presented that, Phil Harris, man.
The Grim Reaper of gaming. You know what it is? The Grim Reaper of gaming. I'm sorry. It's a joke that never dies.
I still remember him at E3 showing that thing on for me. Like, look, it's PlayStation Home. You can buy little clothes for your little figure or whatever. And I was like, oh my God.
No, but you know what though? At its height, it was damn cool. Like,
no, it was cool.
I remember hanging out with a bunch of randos in like the world that was, what's his name? It was the Nathan Drake's world, right?
Yeah.
And you'd like they would like, and of course these days this is basically VR now, right? But that was VR without VR. That was those worlds where people could just go and hang out. It was just really cool. Like I feel like it lost it. It was before its time.
It was before
its time. Today it would be very, very special.
There were so I'm gonna tell you one funny thing that I used to do when I used to be bored, and me and my friend used to come over and we used to hang out to watch the wrestling events. But in the lead up to the wrestling event, we used to be bored and play games, and we used to jump on PS Home and stalk people.
Of course.
And what we used to basically do, right? Like when there was a little group, because you know how people used to stand around and chat or whatever they were doing. I had an avatar, right? That it was literally looked like a homeless guy without a shirt and like a big beard and long hair. And I used to just sit down and just extend my hand, like, can I have some change, please?
So I will tell you.
I can go back and show you that.
I will tell you, if you're a fan of that, I suggest you either I don't know if you still have your Oculus Quest or if it's on PSVR 2, but there's a thing called VR Chat. I don't know if people have heard of it.
No,
That
I've never heard of
literally
that.
happens today. Last time I walked into VR chat, and if you're unlucky enough to walk into, they have now created like a lot of really good like security systems or whatever.
Mhm.
But if you walk into VR chat unknowing, a piece of cheese. When I say a piece of cheese, I'm talking about a large
Oh my god.
block of cheese with a
Walking
face will
around?
come and hump you. Like hump you. Like will follow you. And this is a dude, some dude, they'll oh, come here, and literally want to accost you. And it's a big block of goofy
Well, hold on.
cheese.
I want to incriminate me or my friend here. We were not humping
Uh-huh.
anybody. We were just asking people for change. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Like
For
like
PS change.
people who do not know how to keep their virtual spaces like virtual like bro, let me
That's
they're
hilarious.
all over. Those people who were in PSN home acting up, those are all in VR chat now.
Now,
They're all of them.
one thing that was cool about that PS home thing that I remember that we did once, and I only did this
Yep.
once, and I wish we would have done it more. We used to watch movies together. So, like for
Mhm.
example, we watched a movie one time. I think it was, man, what movie was it? It was, I think it was Constantine that we watched.
Oh, one of great movies, bro. Love that.
Yeah,
movie.
me and three other friends, because you can set up your
Mhm.
apartment however you want, and you're able to put like a big screen or whatever, and then
Bro,
stream
you
movies
you
to it.
keep saying this, and all of this is in VR today. Like
Yeah.
all of this today, big screen. It's called big screen VR. Go in there. You can set up your living space however you want. You can invite people over. You watch movies together. Throw virtual
pretty cool.
popcorn at each other. It's
That-
really cool.
That is pretty cool. And I know that the next thing we're going to talk about had
Mhm.
Netflix Party 2 that I used a couple of times,
Yeah,
and then they took it off, which I don't understand why they did, but whatever. And then the last thing, I do
Mhm.
remember that the PS Home, one of the cool things that it did, Kay, if you remember this, is that they would bring E3 to the PS Home.
Uh-huh.
So whatever their floor plan was, it
You
was
can walk
literally-
around in it.
you can rock around in it, so that if you
Mhm.
couldn't attend it, you can attend it
Yep.
virtually and then play the demos
Yep.
and download them.
You
I thought
see,
that
you
was-
see, and this is why I keep saying it's VR, because that happens in VR now. Anytime there's a big conference, you can literally go into their world and they build it virtually and you can walk around it. And now you don't get to play the games, but like this is me telling you that they pay a lot of homage and a lot of respect to PlayStation Home. I think the VR heads of today, the movers and shakers in VR of today, look a lot at PlayStation Home and copied a lot of their homework. Because
was
literally,
It was
word for word, what you're talking about, like they're doing that today with
Yeah.
all these things now. Yep.
Yeah, it was really cool. I really think that it was
Trailblazing. Yeah.
revolutionary, So
Absolutely. Yep.
and of course, Kay, I already spoiled it, but Old Faithful here.
Mhm, mhm.
All right,
I still have mine.
This is my all-time favorite console right here. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
The Xbox 360 was pretty special. I had it on launch.
Red Ring of Death and all.
This is the argument that is old as time. If you have good games, people will forgive a lot of stuff. And because the 360 had such a great library of games, people can look past the red rings. They didn't care. They're like, all right, whatever. How do we fix this? I want another one. Because of just all the good content that they had. You didn't want to be without your Xbox 360. And I still remember this, Kay. Do you know when I got the first red ring? Do you know when it happened to me?
What was that?
The week of Halo 3.
Oh my God. That is a Travis democracy.
It was literally
Lord
like,
help us.
it was 2 or 3 days prior to launch.
Yep.
And I remember I got the red ring, and luckily for me, I knew someone that worked in GameStop, and he said, bring it in. We're going to plug it in. It's going to work. Don't worry. And just get yourself a new one. And I'm like, okay. So somebody ended up with a red ring. Bought a refurbished console. I'll just put it to you like that.
Mhm.
And I ended up picking up the Elite when I did that little trade.
I had the Elite as well. Yep. I had the Black Elite. I loved my Black Elite. That's right.
Yeah. You know which one I
Yep.
wanted that I never got? I wanted the Resident Evil 5 red one. You remember
Oh
that
yeah.
one?
Yeah. I've seen it, but I never owned one myself.
Yeah. So real fast, Kay, about the 360 console.
Mhm.
and this is gonna touch home with you 100%, because I remember that looking at everything that we were looking at online and the pictures and the E3 presentation where they showed Velocity Girl. If you remember that, that
Of
they're
course.
showing off the profiles and your gamer tag and all this cool stuff, and that you can join the zones. Do you want to be a hardcore gamer? Do you want to be a recreational gamer?
Underground. That's right.
Underground, yeah, that's where I was always. Underground, like you know me. So and you remember Uno? Hey, those Uno games
Oh,
were
yeah.
a little wild sometimes.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, yeah. This is what brought about the video webcams. The first webcams came with
yeah,
Uno, and it was a
yeah.
bad day.
Hey, there was Uno something going on in those webcams.
It
Okay,
was not
so
good. It's not good. Yes.
so everything, okay, for me, everything about the 360 was like perfect, man. Like there's nothing I would take back, even those red rings, to be honest with you, because
Mm.
just holding that controller, man, for the first time, turning it on, it being a wireless controller. That, yeah, they had that in the OG Xbox. Remember the Logitech one that was really
Oh yeah,
popular?
I still have the Logitech. I
Yeah,
have one, the green one. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, but this was like different. You know, this you didn't need a
Yeah.
little adapter or anything like that. This was different.
Mm-hmm.
This the energy that
Was
the
built in.
360 had, man. It was just
Yep.
different. And the games, Perfect Dark, you know, these next gen games that were coming out in this HD graphics era. Like I didn't have an HD TV. How about you, to experience it like early on? Did you have an HD TV? Because I didn't.
I eventually got my hands on the HD TV. I don't even remember how I got it, because it was. I mean, I always stay on the tip, on the cusp of technology. I think I may have gotten like a Black Friday deal, or right after like the Super Bowl or something like that. They were doing some crazy deals,
They were
so I was
expensive,
able to
man.
get my Oh yeah. I was able to get my hands on an HD TV. I was living with my sister at the time, and my sister's a doctor, so I was always able to just finagle my way into, hey, this is what you want, right? And then she drops the coin for me.
And you're like, hey, yeah, but hey, how come you
Yeah.
don't let me watch TV? No, it's all right, sis. I got you.
She had one of the most awesome setups, and she never ever used her stuff. She just knows that her brother, the tech guy, says I should get it, so I go and I get it. So I think that's how I was able to. I think that may be how I got myself a good HDTV. Like, that's how I got one.
Okay, what's crazy is that I literally still remember, and I don't know if you do. I still remember the white box that came in with the little green circles.
Oh yeah, of course.
And when you opened it, it had that green and orange packaging on the controller and the cables. And let's address the elephant in the room. That power box was ridiculous.
Well, but see, this is the thing, right? You either want the power in the box, and then you have a big honking Xbox OG, or the power's out of the box, and now the box is nice and sleek and slim.
Understand,
but now you got that big ass brick.
I remember, like, the thing was the size of a vacuum. It was huge.
It was.
And
it makes a lot of noise.
Oh, dude, it was horrible.
There's a spinning fan in it, and it just goes woo. It's like, it's terrible.
and there was literally no way to hide the thing. You couldn't hide it in back of your entertainment center, so you would have it directly in back of the 360, at least in my setup. And I remember it was always an eyesore. I was like,
now remember, some red rings, oddly enough, happened because people were kind of smothering the power brick.
Yeah,
because this power brick had air pockets that needed to breathe, and people would hide it. So you'd smother it, and eventually it would lead to power outages and lead to issues in red rings. Now I will say,
they shrunk that thing.
They fixed. They did like 3 or 4 redesigns on this thing.
Yeah,
like the 360E or whatever, or 360H. I never owned that last one. I own the Elite. I owned this one. I owned
I owned them all.
Did you own the very last one? Like, I never owned that one.
Every single time that they would bring out a new one, I would trade it in and get the newer one.
I would actually really like to get like a working 360 today, like a proper working 360. My 360 right now that I have turns on, it works, but the lens is so dirty you can't get it to load any of the discs.
Which model is it?
It's this model that you're looking at right now.
Oh, really? The
yes.
Okay, I mean, that's, you gotta.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad about that, because for the longest time, let's have a quick chat, right? Everybody loves the 360 library. Everybody remembers the 360 library fondly. The reason the 360 library was so prolific is because PlayStation left them to their own devices for a whole year.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's where you got, by de facto, it became the first party, the place where all games lived, including Mass Effect and all of these. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately, the library was amazing. And then when it all was said and done, do you know what that box was regulated to, which to this day still sheds a tear for me? It was and everyone in my household played this thing. My sister played this thing with her girlfriends, and she's 8 years older than me. She's not a gamer.
Box?
No. Rock Band and Guitar Hero.
Oh my dude.
Like, my hard drive was full of almost $1,000 worth of stuff. Why? Because my sister would go, "Oh, I love this song," and would download it and then play karaoke with her friends when they came over. It was just so approachable and so agreeable that non-gamers would just load that thing up. To this day, I have the drum set. I have 3 guitars. Like, I would love to use it again. But I'm looking at my discs. I have almost every single Guitar Hero, every Rock Band. My discs will not play in the 360.
Wow. Yeah, you got to get yourself one. 100%.
Well, so I am on a geek show that we talk about PC. So I will say, like, after I was really like fed up, and I really wanted to play to get my library back, and I couldn't find it. I found that there were third parties, like community, who built it, who literally just rebuilt that game, and then they took all of the original, like 360 and all the various libraries, and they put them in there. So now anybody can just roll it on a PC, right? But I would love to get a 360 back and just keep that in a corner as my Rock Band Guitar Hero device. I would love that.
Oh, you got to do it, man, because that whole craze that came out with the DJ Hero, Guitar Hero, Rock Band.
I still have my DJ Hero in my garage. I have the exclusive DJ Hero edition that came, that is the Eminem and Jay-Z version that came in a different color.
It was gold.
I have that in my garage. It's gold.
It was gold. I remember it.
I have it in its box, all clean, with the game in there. I still have it. I love it.
I remember that. And the thing to me, right? And sometimes I'm guilty of this, because now, like, when we're very spoiled now, and we have so much good stuff and so much games on Game Pass that you can easily accessible and all that. But to me, this is the best generation of gaming, the 360 and the PS3. It's just, the games that were coming out were just such a step up when you think about just how it went from PS2 to PS3 and from OG Xbox to Xbox 360. You were getting just this upgrade that I don't know if we'll ever see again, to be honest with you. I think
you probably won't
see that jump again.
Yeah, because right now it's diminishing returns. It just is.
Yeah, and it was just, seeing, for example, Resident Evil 4 that you played on your GameCube, and then now Resident Evil 5 with these graphics and Chris Redfield with those sweaty muscles, and you're like, oh my god, bro, like, what is going on?
Sweaty muscles.
Like, what is going on here? Shiva, it looks like a real lady. Like, dude, it was like epic, man. And that Halo 3 commercial, him throwing the bubble bomb on the ground. You remember this stuff, man? Like,
of course I do. Of course I do.
This thing was like
Gears of War. I mean, come on, like
dude. I remember Gears. Which Gears was it? Gears 3. You know how they brought out a bundle with like a special edition Gears of War console? It was for Gears 3. I remember that I got on the phone with a dude that was willing to sell me the game, I think 3 weeks early, because he had a bundle that he was going to ship internationally. But I told him, I don't want the whole thing, I just want the game. And he goes, oh, I don't know about that. And like, I had to like hassle him. You know how much I ended up paying for that thing, Kay?
How much?
$250 cash.
Just for the game?
Just for the game, because of how bad
you are crazy, bro. Damn.
It was 3 weeks prior to release, and I told the dude, meet me in the Hooters in this address.
He said, meet me in the Hooters.
I'm going to pick up some wings. I'm going to buy this thing from you, and I'm going to give you $250 cash. And the guy said, sold.
Of
And
course. Wouldn't you have said sold?
of course. So the dude, he brings. I remember he brings me because it wasn't even in the case, because it
Mhm.
was in a little slip thing,
Yeah, because it
and I
comes in the bundle. Yeah, they
right,
didn't
because
give
it
you the
comes
full
in the
case. Yeah.
bundle. So I remember he goes, "Are you sure you just don't want to buy the whole thing? I'm selling it for like $600." I told him, "No, I don't need the system. Even though I want it, I just want the game. I want to play it now." Okay, I got my wings at Hooters, and I went home. I ate my food, and dude, I beat Gears of War 3 that weekend, and I had that thing beat 3 weeks prior to anyone beating the game. And I wasn't like the dude that was going on social media and spoiling things for people. I would just go
Mhm.
to the forums and I would be like, guys, just get ready, get
The
ready,
future has come.
get ready. And people were like, "You bastard! You're such a liar!" Like they used to be like, "You're a troll! You're a liar! You don't have anything."
uh,
And I'm like, "Oh, I don't have anything. Okay, okay, all right." And then I would I took a picture or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, how did you get that? You stole that? Whatever." I'm like, "Ah, shut up." You know what I mean? Like, but
mhm.
I wasn't spoiling stuff. I wasn't uploading anything to YouTube. I wasn't doing none of that because I didn't want. I
Did
don't want to get
YouTube exist back then? I'm sorry.
it did. No, no, it did.
It
But
did.
like, but like, in order for you to have a capture card or whatever, it was a lot of money back then.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a whole
It
thing.
was
It was a whole
a
thing.
lot of
Yep.
money back then. So I wouldn't even have had the capability to do it. But I remember that the guy told me, listen, take your system offline. Do not
Hmm.
connect to the internet because they're gonna ban you. So do not do. And I took it offline. Had the
Yep.
game 3 weeks early, K. 3 weeks early for Gears of War 3.
Nice.
That
Very
that
cool.
that was cool. That was really cool. And as you know, tell me a little bit about the blades, man. You remember the blades dashboard?
Of course. Actually, that's one of my contributions. So eventually, when they changed, they updated the dashboard many times in the 360 generation. I ported the blades dashboard to XBMC because we love those blades so much. Right?
Oh
Like
man.
like like
Wow.
we love those blades. To this very day, you can find like front end skins that show those blades, right? That swish from the left to the right. Like it is something that it's a legacy that endured. And I know for sure, I know 100% for sure that people have asked Xbox about bringing those things back, and it's very difficult to do now because they just have too much content and they don't know
That's
how
what
to
I was gonna
reflect.
tell you. Do you think that
Yeah.
the blades will work in today's world? I don't know.
No, no. Just like Xbox Live Arcade won't work in today's world, even though I think they should bring something like that back. Neither will the blades themselves, because back in that day, they could curate the content very well, and the content that was on your desktop was far less cluttered, and there was far less for you to account for. With a
There's literally
world where
like
you have to
5
account for
arcade
Game
games.
Pass, you have to
Remember?
account for all these other things, it's very hard to do.
Look, what did they have on there early on? They had, of course, the classic. Everybody had this game. Oh man, why am I drawing a blank right now? Geometry Wars.
Of
Okay, was
course.
early
Yep.
on. Street Fighter
Hexic.
2, Hexic. Yep. When it was
Yep.
those games, okay, there was something special about that time if you were able to enjoy it, because those were smaller games. You understood that they
Mhm.
were smaller games. They even had less achievement points. They could only be a certain size. Remember that the requirement from Xbox was that they couldn't be bigger than being able to fit on a memory card. I think that was a requirement. Um, there, like, it was just such a different time, man, and it was just like, that's why sometimes when we get into the weed of these conversations and we are talking on the back end about all the drama that comes with like gaming, sometimes it's good to have conversations like this because, dude, remember how good it was those days just to think about the games that were coming, and you're like, oh, dude,
Oh
I
yeah.
played Hexic, and I played, I was playing Geometry Wars. What's your score? This and that, and that
Oh
was
yeah.
like the biggest thing that you had to worry about. You didn't have to worry about your game not being 60 FPS.
Well, but back then you didn't care, right? A lot of those games weren't 60 FPS. Like
Right,
a lot of those
right.
games ran like dog meat, but all you just had stars in your eyes because you were playing this cool game,
I didn't
right? Like
care, dude. I didn't
that's
care.
right. That's right. It was a simpler time, sir. It was a simpler time. People should focus more of their energies on that time when all you cared about was the fact that the game was just was there and was cool. I mean, think about it this way. I always use this analogy. There are people in planes that are complaining about that they're not getting their peanuts, and I'm just like, you do realize you're in a metal box in the sky, right? How about you take a moment and appreciate the fact that you're in a metal box in the sky and you're not falling, rather than complaining about the goddamn peanuts.
They want something to chew on there. Listen, man, it's a blessing and a curse to be really into this hobby, because like sometimes I envy like one of my friends that he's like, dude, I just want to play this game. I don't care what you're talking to me about. Like he's like I'll call him and I'll tell him, hey, let me vent to you. Just give me perspective on this. And he's like, why do you care? He's like, why is that such a big deal? I don't understand. And it's and the thing is that he's not doing it in a demeaning way, or in a way that it's like he's making it seem like if it's like if it's drama or whatever. He's looking at it out of an aspect of a gamer that is just like, dude, I just want to turn on my game and play. I really don't care.
That's right. That's right. It's all about that. It's all about that enjoyment. Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. And sometimes we need to do better to. And I'm guilty of it myself. I'm talking to myself here, no one else here. I don't like to preach, but I need to remind myself of that stuff sometimes, because it's like,
bro,
doesn't matter.
Let me tell you, you need to go to Gamescom. That'll help you. If you go to Gamescom and you breathe that con air, make sure you wear a mask because people crazy out there.
I don't know if people wear deodorant and stuff. I hope so.
and you're among just a sea of people who have stars in their eyes, and it's not about this console versus that console or this PC or this, and it's just this. It's just a love, like a capital L love of just gaming and camaraderie, and it doesn't matter how weird you look compared to how weird I look. We're equal because we like the same thing. Like, it changes your perspective, bro. That conference is awesome and it's brilliant, and more people need to go places like that. You know what I mean? Check out the content of the Black Viking if you haven't seen him. He was at PAX West. Stars in his eyes, man. It's all about games.
He's doing really good stuff.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And you could just tell the love of the content and what he's able to see and able to touch, talk to developers, tell them how much you appreciate their games. Like, that's what it's about, man. The more you interact in that way, the more the other stuff that you're talking about that you have a problem with, the more they fade away and become less relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Kay, tell me what things before we get out of here. Just give me a couple more things here about the 360, man, that are near and dear to your heart, and then we'll start getting out of here. We're coming up on 2 hours.
So being that this is the techie show, the 360 was when Xbox finally understood how to secure their box correctly. So you could still hack it. I was still able to do so, but boy, oh boy, was that thing difficult. Like, just moving it out of its box was a pain in the ass. And then in order to be able to run unsigned code, you had to like dump the firmware and add a unsigned script into it in order for it to then be able to see. It was such a pain in the butt, so much so that I eventually quit doing this stuff. The 360 cured me of that, because by then I was like, screw it, I got a PC, let's move on. You know what I mean?
True.
Yes,
true,
but
man.
I loved my 360. I did. I loved my 360. I actually I do agree with you that
which one though? Because how many did you go through? Because I went through.
I went through three 360s. Yeah, I went through three 360s, and I fixed my red ring myself. I used the cold towel trick. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yes, I did. Yep, I tried it.
The cold towel trick.
Yep.
Yeah. You put water on a towel and you put it in the freezer. So then the towel gets absolutely frozen. Then you wrap it around the 360. And of course, you got to do this very carefully because there are vents in the corner. And if water gets in there, you're screwed. But the idea is basically that you're cooling the processor from the outside in. Basically, so I guess we'll leave it at this. What happened with the Red Ring of Death? Why that Red Ring of Death was so pervasive uh, there have been white papers written since the console's now behind us, and they cheapened out on the what do you call it, the heat sinks, not the heat sinks necessarily, but the grease in between the heat sinks. And usually during the process of development, you turn it on, during that process, and it warms up the thermal grease, and it gets it ready for use. That thermal grease was not done that way, and the thermal grease they put in it was very cheap. So by the time it went from Shenzhen or wherever it was built all the way to your hands, many of that thermal grease was cracking and was not actually grease anymore.
That's
so it
crazy.
wasn't doing the conducive job of conducting the heat. Right. So every time you turn it on, it would start overheating. Right. So like I went from the cold towel trick to literally cracking the 360 open. There were people who were selling on Etsy tools, like multi-finger tools that could crack open the 360 because you needed one of those. And then you'd open it up and you would put like third-party thermal grease in the joints where you needed to put them, and then they would finally work.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anyone is interested, watch that documentary that Xbox put out, and it talks a little bit about their kind of pains that they went through with 360, and I think that they kind of explained some of that, that they finally figured out what it was, but it took them a long time, man, to figure it out.
Yep.
They were scrambling like, what, we can't figure this out, and you can imagine
they took
how
$1 billion write down, like $1 billion. They just was like, yep, $1 billion.
And you can imagine how frustrating it must have been for those people, because these are like some of the smartest people in the world, and they couldn't figure this out.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to everyone again in the chat. I see Lucius Augustus, man, who wrote a great Warhammer review today. Please go check it out on the website. Okay, what's that website again for everybody to visit?
That is thegamingcircle.com, ladies and gentlemen. You can go to thegamingcircle.com and you can find great articles, including the recent review for Warhammer 40K Space Marine.
Yep.
Really awesome review. If you haven't checked it out, we've been talking with such love and reverence for the old school, for the 360 days. I say Warhammer 40K is the evolution of that Gears formula. It is excellent. People should check it out. Good.
And Lucius did a great job with his time of explaining everything about the game in the review. And yeah, man, so okay, the 360, I know we didn't get into depths about, all the ins and outs with the rich history, but everybody knows in here, man, how badass it was. I don't gotta tell anybody that,
Absolutely.
So yeah, okay, so before we go, man, let everybody know what you're gonna be playing this week.
So this is the first time I get to say this, and oh man, I've been waiting for a long time to say this. I can't tell you what I'll be playing this week.
Oh wow! Okay.
All I can tell you is I'm effing excited about it. I'm saying that's all I'm gonna say.
This man is moving on up. I don't even know what he's talking about. Okay,
we'll talk later, sir. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. But I am hopping up and down like a child at a candy store. I am super excited for what I am about to get my hands on. I'm not allowed to talk about it. You will hear more soon. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. You're going to do a great job with that. So, okay, one more thing. When can we expect that X1 mini review from you? When do you think you're going to have that sucker done?
I am in editing phase right now. Life is just doing its best to make sure I have no time. But damn it, it's on the page. It's done. I just need to put it all together. It's like little puzzle pieces all over my computer. I need to put it together. It may be when the X2 comes out, but it will come out, damn it. It will come out, because I have a lot to say about this thing. And TLDR, if you are like me, a certain person who has certain needs, who's okay with traversing some technical divides, this thing is second to none. Like, it's second to none.
Nice.
It's second to none. It is my daily driver. It's amazing. Yes.
Well, I have the week off, so I'll be continuing to play through Astro. Started today.
Okay.
Very solid game. I will also be playing through Warhammer and Black Myth Wukong. I'm going to be playing some of that this week. Finally picked it
Yeah,
up. I caved in. I gave it about almost a month here, waiting for a price drop. It never came. I don't blame them for not dropping. It's selling like hotcakes.
yeah.
So
For what, Black Myth Wukong?
yeah. I thought, maybe in a month it'll go down, but no, it hasn't gone down. I've been keeping my eye on it.
I
So
bought it for $40
yeah,
day
I
one.
have not seen it that low.
I
I've
bought it
been looking a lot.
before it came out. It was $40. It
Oh,
was forty
okay.
bucks.
I should have
Yeah.
jumped on that because I
Hmm.
literally I paid full price for that today, and
Hmm.
rightfully so. I think that they deserve it from everything that I've heard. And I'm also going to pick up Marvel vs. Capcom collection coming out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um,
Are you buying it on Xbox, sir? After you said all this heat about them not bringing it there, it is finally coming there. Will
yeah,
you buy it?
I'll buy it when the Xbox handheld is released. How about
Look
so,
at this! Look at
so,
this man! Look at
sorry. I mean, like yeah, you're gonna come out in 2025. What's that gonna do for me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna wait till
yeah.
2025.
True,
Um,
true. You're buying on Steam for sure.
so come on, man. And but yeah, man. Other than that, look forward to the week. Hey, I'll be obviously listening to. Are you gonna be on Primetime Gaming this week with
I
Boom
will
and
be. I will try to be on primetime gaming this week. Life is
yeah,
challenging me, but
yeah.
but I will definitely try to do that. This weekend, obviously, with GCP will be back. We'll be doing some things there. We have some interesting guests lined up. We have some interesting guests lined up for the future for a couple of shows coming up. Great developers that I've been talking in the background that I met at Gamescom that I wanna have on the air. So stay tuned, man, and maybe one day out of nowhere, maybe the next day, 2 days, next week, out of nowhere, you will see me with my review of the X1 Mini. So
Nice.
keep a
Okay.
lookout. Yes.
For anyone interested, if you haven't joined our Discord yet, please do so. I will personally be on there tomorrow. And whoever wants to jump on, and this goes to UK if you're
Yes.
not busy with work and life, and Lucius in there who's always having good conversations with us. Anyone else wants to come in, I'm gonna be talking about what they show on for this PS5 Pro,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll talk smack about it, or we'll talk good things about it. I
And
don't know.
by the way, about that Discord, if y'all are, for those who either have jumped in there and haven't been there for a while, or for those who have been wondering what we do, like if you wanted to see early gameplay footage of Space Marine 2, we were streaming the whole thing via Discord.
There you go.
The whole team is there. We're talking smack. We're having a good time, and we're playing the game as well. So we may not necessarily stream it live, and maybe I'll do some more like proper streams. But whenever I have a chance to, and I'm playing a game and I'm on the PC, I'm on Discord chatting with my boys, having a good time. Streaming streaming to the people who are in there, and it's never a hidden channel. People can just jump in whenever they want.
And here's the best part, guys. Unfiltered. Okay.
It is very unfiltered. Very unfiltered.
So we like to keep it clean and PG-13, PG on these shows, but you come in there, you're gonna hear a different side of John okay, for sure. Okay, you're gonna hear a little bit more slander on there. But again, all in good fun always, and it's just we're just everyone in our community, and everybody just loves this thing, man, and they're passionate about it, and everybody has their own opinions and thoughts on things, and it's just different walks of life coming together to have a conversation. So
indeed, man.
Okay, it's been a great show, man. I mean, I feel like if I kind of understand your history a little bit better with the console side of the house, because I know we're always talking PCs.
Indeed.
So
Yep.
you gave an old man like me, you made me feel good, and I'm sure a lot of people feeling good about talking consoles today. We'll be back next week with another interesting show, man. I'll think of something to talk about, and we'll
This
talk
was a
about
great
it.
show, bro. This is all you. This is a great show. I appreciate it, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, man. I hope that it got you to disconnect from the real world and everybody else for a little while. And
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Now it's we'll get ready for 49.
Indeed, man.
All right.
Peace,
So
everybody.
peace, everyone.
Have a good one.